Story of the Blind Men and the Elephant. Once upon a time, in a small village in ancient India, there lived 5 blind men. They were wise in many ways but had never encountered an elephant before. The people of the village often spoke of the mighty elephant, describing its strength, size, and various features. Intrigued but unable to see, the blind men longed to understand what an elephant truly was. One day, a kind and generous king, hearing about their curiosity, decided to fulfill their wish. He ordered his royal guards to bring a large, gentle elephant to the village square. The entire village gathered in excitement as the blind men were led to the enormous animal. The king then spoke. "You have all heard of the elephant. Now, I invite you to touch it and describe what it feels like." The blind men eagerly approached the animal, each feeling a different part of its body. The man who touched the trunk. The first blind man walked forward and reached out with his hands. His fingers brushed against the elephant's long, flexible trunk. He explored its shape, feeling how it moved and curled. With great excitement, he exclaimed, "Ah! The elephant is like a thick, powerful snake. It is long and bends in different directions." Quote, "The man who felt the ear." The second blind man touched the elephant's ear. It was large, flat, and slightly rough. He flapped it slightly and smiled. "No, no," he said. "The elephant is like a great handheld fan. It is broad and thin, and it moves back and forth." Quote, "The man who held the leg." The third blind man, standing near the elephant's side, wrapped his arms around one of its legs. Feeling the thick, sturdy limb, he confidently stated, "You are both wrong. The elephant is like a mighty tree trunk. It is strong, unshakable, and round." The man who touched the side. The fourth blind man placed both hands against the elephant's massive body, running his hands across the wide, solid surface. He nodded in understanding. "I see. The elephant is like a great wall. It is vast, flat, and impossible to move." Quote, "The man who felt the tail." The fifth blind man happened to grasp the elephant's thin, rope-like tail, feeling its rough texture and slight swaying motion. He chuckled, "You are all mistaken. The elephant is like a rope. It is thin and rough, and it dangles in the air." Quote, the argument begins. Each of the blind men was convinced that his own description was correct. They began arguing, each insisting that the others were wrong. "You fools," said the first, "I know what I felt. An elephant is like a snake." Quote, "No, no," the second one protested. "It is clearly like a fan." Quote, "You are all mistaken," said the third. "It is a great tree trunk." Quote, "It is like a huge wall." The fourth argued, "You are all wrong." The fifth shouted, "It is nothing but a rope." Their heated argument continued, growing louder and louder, until the king raised his hand to silence them. The wisdom of the king. The wise king smiled and said, "You are all both right and wrong at the same time." The blind men looked confused. "How can we all be right and wrong at the same time?" they asked. The king then explained, "Each of you touched only a part of the elephant, not the whole creature. You each described only what you experienced, but you did not have the full picture. The elephant is not just a trunk, an ear, a leg, a side, or a tail. It is all of these things combined. Your mistake was assuming that what you felt was the complete truth." The blind men fell silent, realizing their mistake. They had argued without considering that their perspectives were limited. The moral of the story. This ancient tale holds a profound lesson. Our perspective is always limited. An understanding requires seeing beyond our own experience. Perception is subjective. Each person's experience of reality is shaped by their own knowledge, senses, and emotions. Just like the blind men, we often assume that what we know is the whole truth. But in reality, we only see a part of it. Respect different perspectives. People may have different opinions, but that does not mean they are wrong. Everyone's perspective is shaped by their experiences. And understanding others requires listening and considering different viewpoints. Seek the bigger picture. Instead of arguing over who is right, we should try to understand the full story. True wisdom comes from gathering multiple perspectives and putting them together like pieces of a puzzle. Avoid overconfidence in one's own knowledge. Many conflicts in life arise because people insist that their viewpoint is the only correct one. Just like the blind men. If we only focus on what we know, we may miss the greater truth. Thank you for watching. If this inspired you, it might inspire someone else too. Watch, share, and spread the motivation.